Hey, David.
Yeah.
When it's like, so when that boat that's overlapped, like jives twice, like does double jive and pop, the overlap is just broken.
When you jive,
It's not that when you jive onto the opposite tack, so from starboard tack onto port tack, now overlap doesn't matter, but you're still in the same position because you're on opposite tack. And then when you bring it back, you're now on the same tack, but your bow didn't cross this line from behind. You were just already there.
Okay.
So that's why it's called instantaneous. Yeah.
Is there any way to combat that as the boat that's being overlapped?
Right. So, excellent question. That's what I was going to get into next. So, as this boat, you want to be aware that this boat is going to try, and this is called hooking you when they come down and go take you up like that. And they're trying to take you up because they can just luff you and hold you there for as long as they want and let any of their teammates sail straight down the course without any problems. So, in order for you to avoid getting hooked, first of all, you want to be watching it. You know, your crew should be looking around, looking back up the course. You should be able to see it coming way before they get there. But in the event that they're just sailing fast or whatever, so you're here now. What this boat can do is what's called like an up-down. So they'll right now their overlap line is right here off their transom. And this boat's sailing down faster than they're moving. So if they just sail straight, this boat's going to come in here and establish overlap from behind, and then they can do their double jibe and control you right here. So to prevent that from happening, once they get close to you, what you do is you turn up sharply.
Yeah.
And what that does is if you imagine the line coming off of your transom, once the boat gets to there, actually, it's a little exaggerated, but once you turn like that, your overlap line is now here. So as you can see, this boat that's trying to overtake you can't possibly get to this line in the time it takes you to turn, because you can turn your boat a lot faster than they can sail down to your new line. And what that does is it prevents them from getting in there. And once you head back down to a straight course, your overlap line returns to normal. And if the boat is still, if the overtaking boat has gotten in here, it's made it so that they're coming from behind. Because if you think about it, instead of the boat crossing your line's crossing them. But it's still the same maneuver. So this boat's still, their overlap is still established as coming from behind.
Could you explain that one more time?
Yeah.
Draw, maybe if you drew it,
A couple of things.
like one boat in the same position but turned more. So you showed that the line is broken in one phase and it's here.
Like over this
You
one?
can just head
Yeah.
Okay.
When the boat is, I can go.
Teamer.
David, what's the point of the up-down? Is it just to stall the overlap
Well,
for a few more seconds? Or?
You can,
Or if they've already established it.
right,
you
if
can
they've
use
already
that.
established, that's the way to break it again.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Before they do a double
what if-
dive. Or
Yeah.
But
what,
if
after?
you see that they're coming down, you know, like if they're right here, you can do it preemptively, but it doesn't really get you anywhere. But in the end, that's your defense as this boat, is doing that up-down.
Before they try and hook you, if you've got enough space.
Right, so as soon as they get their sail filled, if they get overlap and they do their double jibe, as soon as they get their sail filled, then they have the right to take you up. So if you see that they're about to go for their double jibe, you already need to be starting your up down to try and break this overlap line.
Or you
Is that what you're wondering?
Yeah, exactly.
Or you could just let them do their double jibe, slow down, and then the trick is right here. You see how these two boats are overlapped? This one with the overlap line right there.
Yeah.
All this boat does, they turn up a little. Now they're not overlapped, and if this boat turns back and heads this direction, you're overlapped. But that's the same thing technically as this boat just surging down.
the overlap.
The deal is, this boat's like faking having that boat create overlap from behind. It's just fake overlap from behind, but it's the same thing.
This is done all the time.
So this boat would have to double jibe again.
Right.
Yeah.
So this could go on, 4 times going downwind when these boats are next to each other. One double jibes, the other one is immediately doing their up down, they come back down, the other boat double jibes again, and it's just back and forth jockeying for position.
If you have the 2 boats coming downwind,
Yeah.
and the one gets the hook, does the double jibe, and it's in there, and starts coming up, if you break the overlap with an up down as they're coming up, is there any sort of time there that you have to hold the overlap apart or anything? As soon as you think you're clear, then you can come back down to proper course and tell them that you broke the overlap and that
Right.
you need to
I
reestablish.
mean, for
Instantaneous.
yeah.
Instantaneous, yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's no time requirement or anything. You're as a skipper, you're pretty much the judge of it
It's
because
just enough to make
they're
it
sitting
obvious.
back here, so they don't really know where the bow is, and you can lean back and put your head like there.
And it helps
If you
to
want.
talk to the umpire too if you can.
Yeah, and
Like say,
you can
obviously there's no overlap right now.
just be vocal about it. And if you're telling the other skipper you're not overlapped, then chances are they'll believe you,
Sometimes.
unless you're sailing against Matt or somebody.
That's bullshit.
Do one of you guys want to just go over like the hand gestures and that go along?
Contact,
with
contact.
Yeah. I'll hurt the top of my head. on that one.
That we'll save that for match racing in the
Yeah.
fall.
Matt, what is it for overlap? Just
Just
doing
wave
that?
your arm.
Does that mean
All you have to do is yell and see
oh hand signal too?
You don't have to hand signal. You just
I just mean if one of us sees you guys waving wildly in the back of the boat, or somebody like that, what are we looking for?
The trick with hand signals, why I use them is in case the umpire is too
Right.
far away or
Do you have anything you
there's
wanna
a lot of
set
umpires that
Okay. Okay, so just for anybody taking notes, or if you want to just, if you've been zoned out or anything, the 2 things to take away are that there are 2 types of overlap: instantaneous and coming from behind. And the way you break overlap, so to defend, you do your up down. Okay? And
all the up down does is stop you from heading you up above proper course. He can still head you up to proper course, which is the next mark.
right. Okay, so and just generally sailing downwind, if you're looking from the windward mark down to the leeward mark, the left side of the course is the strongest place to be because you can come back at people on starboard. So like
when you're facing downwind.
yes, when you're facing downwind, it's the left side. Because if anybody over here is at your mercy if you're coming in on starboard. The mark.
Like, remember the type?
Yep. So if there's a boat on port and you're coming in on starboard, you can sail this way, and this boat just turns and you can take them right up, and then you just hold them up there. It's just like a mark trap. Any of your teammates can just sail right around the mark. So that's what you're trying to do.
Do you want to try and spread the course as a team on the way down, or do you all just want to try and stack the left side of people?
It depends what you're trying to do. Usually, if you're in a
fast.
if you're in a stable combination, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but if you're in a stable combination, I'd say, take the left side so that you're controlling them. I wouldn't sail away from your opponents unless you're like 5 and 6 and you're trying to get something out of it. If you're in an unstable combination, you're going to want to unbalance them, and so then you spread out. And my thinking would be to give the weaker person on your team that side, because then it's easier for them to defend, and have the stronger person be over here battling for overlap and stuff like that.
What I've always been taught is to do a high-low switch. And so it obviously is dependent on the situation you're in and how close you are to your teammates. But for example, just to be safe, let's say there's a huge shift on one side. If you have both your teammates on one side, that's the bad side, you're screwed. But if you have one on each, it helps. And that also avoids you covering your teammates, because if you're back to back, You don't want to both go the exact same direction. So generally, when you get to the top of the mark, as you know, you're always communicating with your team to say, oh, I'll go high, you go low, and like who you're going to cover. So that constant communication is key.
Yeah.
But
Right,
always
so-
sailing fast.
So like if you have, you know, you have 2 boats and a 1-2 on your team, and then number 6 or something. These guys might say, you know, I'm going low and I'm going high. So this guy sails around and goes low. This guy sails around and goes high. And then the 6th person does whatever they want. So I would suggest going out this side or just sailing as fast as they possibly can.
And super quick, the same tactic applied when you round the leeward mark. What
Yep.
I've been taught is that if you have 2 boats on the same team, that once one rounds, they just keep going, and then when the other one rounds, that's when the first boat can tack, or vice versa, to make sure that you're not going to the same side of the course upwind as well.
So what Rachel's saying is if you have your first boat coming into the mark, they round and keep going, and then your second boat will come down, round, and tack around. And so now you've kind of covered both sides of the course. Basically, you never want to put yourself in a position where one teammate's covering another teammate because it's just slow. You want to be covering another teammate or picking a strong part of the course to be on. Alright.
How are you? Yeah, you said-
That's all you do.